The battle-scarred warship drifted in silence above the ruined moon. Its hull was covered with the marks of plasma fire, old scars from battles against rival species. Inside, the crew of the Gravik sat in their command chamber, watching the void with sharp, cold eyes. They were not ordinary aliens. They were Deathworlders, the most feared beings in the galaxy. For centuries, their kind had earned that name by surviving on planets so dangerous that lesser species would not last a day. Their worlds were covered in toxic storms, monstrous predators, and endless wars. They had evolved to fight, to kill, and to endure. Other civilizations whispered their name with fear. The commander, a tall creature with armored scales, stared at the galaxy map. His voice was low and confident. Another weak colony destroyed. Another planet taken. There are none left who can resist us. The crew laughed in agreement. To them, conquest was routine. Survival was in their blood. They believed no species could ever match their strength. But then the alarms sounded. A strange vessel appeared on the edge of the system. It was small, far too small to be a warship, but it moved with unusual speed. The crew scanned it, confused. Unknown design, unknown markings. Not registered in the galactic archives, reported the sensor officer. The commander frowned. That was impossible. Every advanced species was catalogued. Who could this be? The ship hailed them. A voice came through the speakers, calm, steady, and unlike anything they had heard before. This is the exploration vessel, Dauntless. We come from Earth. We are human. The crew exchanged puzzled looks. They had never heard of humans or Earth. The commander narrowed his eyes. Identify your species. What world do you come from? The reply came without hesitation. We are from a death world too, perhaps worse than yours. The chamber fell silent. No one dared to claim such a thing. To call oneself a Deathworlder without proof was madness. It was the highest title of survival, the hardest truth of evolution. To hear this strange species call themselves the same sent a ripple of unease across the crew. The commander snarled, trying to hide his discomfort. Empty words. Your ship is small. Your species unknown. You dare claim the title of Deathworlder before us. Show your strength, if you have any. There was a pause. Then the human voice replied, Very well. Look outside your window. The crew turned. At first, they saw nothing. Then they noticed the human ship moving closer to the dead moon's surface. Without shields raised, without hesitation, it entered the storm of debris and radiation left from ancient battles. The alien crew watched in disbelief. No vessel should have been able to survive inside that deadly field. Fragments of metal tore through the vacuum like spears. Radiation burned hotter than a star. Their own warships avoided that zone. But the human craft danced through it, weaving between fragments with impossible precision. Impossible, whispered the sensor officer. They should be dead already. Inside the command chamber, tension rose. Who were these humans? How could they survive? What should have destroyed them? The human voice returned, calm and sharp. Your moon is dangerous, but Earth is worse. On our world, predators stalked us from every shadow. The weather tried to kill us. The land itself broke our bones, yet we endured. We adapted. We thrived. Do you still think you are the only Deathworlders? The commander's claws scraped against the metal table, for the first time in many cycles. He felt something unfamiliar certainty. The alien crew had spent centuries believing they were alone at the top. They had fought every species and crushed every rival. But now, a small human vessel had walked into the deadliest part of the system as if it were a game, and they had claimed the same name. Deathworlders. The silence stretched. Then, the human ship emerged from the storm without a single scratch. It turned slowly, its weapons now revealed. They were crude compared to alien designs, yet something about them felt terrifying. They looked built not with elegance, but with raw, brutal purpose. The human voice spoke one last time. You thought you were the only ones, but you are not. We are human, and this galaxy is not ready for us. The communication cut. The alien crew sat frozen, the weight of those words pressing on them. For the first time, the Deathworlders of legend wondered if they were no longer the strongest predators in the galaxy, because something worse had just arrived. The command chamber of the Gravik was silent. No one moved. The words from the humans still echoed in their minds. We are human, and this galaxy is not ready for us. The crew had fought countless enemies, parasite swarms, machine empires, even entire armadas. Yet this small ship, with its strange, confident voice, unsettled them in a way no battle ever had. Finally, the commander broke the silence. Bring them aboard. The crew turned in shock. Commander, you want them here? On our ship, yes, the commander growled. If they dare call themselves Deathworlders, then we will see with our own eyes. I want to look at these humans. The docking bay hissed as the human vessel latched on to the alien warship. Armored guards stood ready, their weapons raised, their eyes sharp. Deathworlders trusted no one. The airlock opened with a low thud. 3 figures stepped out. At first glance, they looked fragile compared to the armored aliens. Their bodies were soft, skin exposed, with no claws, no scales, no natural armor. 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs, simple, weak, but something about the way they walked made the guards uneasy. Their steps were steady, their eyes unblinking, scanning everything. They moved as if danger was normal to them, as if they belonged here. The leader of the trio stepped forward. He wore a suit of flexible armor, nothing compared to the heavy plating of the alien guards. Yet his presence filled the docking bay. He looked around, and when he spoke, his voice was calm and firm. I am Captain Elias Ward of Earth. We come in peace. But do not mistake peace for weakness. The commander stepped down from the platform, towering over the human captain. His scales gleamed under the lights, and his voice was a growl of challenge. You call yourselves Deathworlders. Prove it. Why should we believe your claim? The human captain did not flinch. Instead, he reached to his belt and pulled out a small object. It looked like a flat piece of glass. With a touch, it came alive, showing images and videos. The first image showed a storm-dark clouds twisting into a violent funnel, tearing cities apart. On Earth, we call this a tornado, Elias said. Winds strong enough to shred steel, common across our lands. The next image was of oceans filled with monstrous creatures, sharks, crocodiles, predators with teeth designed to rip flesh. These are our seas, filled with hunters larger than your war beasts. Another image appeared, volcanoes erupting, lava rivers burning everything in their path. Earth's fire erupts from beneath our feet, destroying whole regions in moments. The aliens stared, their jaws tightening. Then came the worst image. A battlefield, humans fighting humans. Gunfire, explosions, ruined cities, smoke rising into the air. And this, Elias said quietly, is what we do to ourselves. When predators threatened us, we learned to fight. When nature tried to kill us, we endured. When even our own kind brought war, we survived. That is what it means to be human. The chamber fell into silence again. The commander's eyes narrowed. He could not deny what he had seen, but he would not bow so easily. Storms, beasts, fire, war, yes, your world is cruel. But your bodies are weak. How can creatures like you survive such a place? Captain Elias smiled faintly. Because we don't fight alone, we adapt, we build, we never stop pushing. Where others give up, we keep going. That is why we are still here. The words struck the aliens harder than any weapon. For Deathworlders, strength was everything: claws, teeth, armor. But these humans claimed their strength was not in their bodies, but in their will. The commander stepped closer, lowering his voice so only the captain could hear. If your words are true, then you are dangerous. Too dangerous. The galaxy will not accept you. Elias did not blink. Then the galaxy will have to adapt. Just as we did. After the humans were escorted to the council chamber, the alien officers gathered in private. They are liars, one spat. They are fools, another sneered. But deep in their voices, there was fear. The commander stood silent, his claws tapping the metal floor. He could not deny what he had seen in the humans' eyes. There was no fear there, no hesitation. Only the steady calm of beings who had faced worse than this ship could offer. Finally, the commander spoke. They are not liars. They are not fools. They are exactly what they claim to be. The room grew cold. Then, what are they? One officer asked quietly. The commander's gaze turned toward the docking bay, where the human ship waited. They are predators that learned how to stand together. And that makes them more dangerous than anything we have ever faced. Night. As the humans rested in their quarters, the crew of the Gravek whispered among themselves. Stories spread through the warship like fire. The humans had come. They had shown their world. And if their words were true, then the galaxy was about to change forever. The council chamber aboard the Gravik was filled with tension. The human visitors had spoken boldly, claiming their world was as deadly as any death world in the galaxy. Some of the crew were impressed, but most were unconvinced. They are clever speakers, one officer hissed. But words are wind. They must prove themselves. The commander agreed. He had watched the human captain carefully. The man had spoken with calm confidence, but confidence alone did not make one a death worlder. Strength was tested through trial, through pain, through survival, and so a decision was made. Tomorrow, the commander announced, we will test them. If they survive, they are what they claim. If they fail, their story ends here. The next day, the humans were led into a vast chamber inside the warship. The room was no ordinary hall. It was a combat arena used to train warriors. Its floor shifted with metal plates, creating landscapes of rock, fire, and water. Deadly machines and captured predators could be released within seconds. Captain Elias and his two crewmates looked around calmly. The commander's voice echoed across the chamber. You call yourselves Deathworlders. Then face the death world itself. Survive this trial, and we will believe you. A deep rumble shook the ground as the arena came alive. Walls shifted. Fire. Vents opened. The floor split into dangerous chasms. From the shadows to massive creatures emerged scaled beasts with jaws strong enough to crush metal. Their eyes glowed with hunger. The alien crew watched from the stands, expecting fear. But the humans did not panic. Instead, they spoke to each other quickly, quietly, moving with purpose. Take the high ground, Elias ordered. Jensen, distract the left one. Mara, with me on the right. They didn't waste time, while other species froze in terror when, faced with such monsters, the humans split into a coordinated team. One of the beasts lunged at Jensen, who was the smallest of the humans. Instead of running, he stood his ground, shouting and waving his arms. The creature snapped at him, but at the last moment, Jensen rolled aside, quick and precise, at the same time. Elias and Mara attacked the second beast not with advanced weapons, but with sharp tools pulled from their belts. They climbed onto its back, driving metal spikes into its scales. Holding on as the monster thrashed wildly. The alien crew gasped. "They are insane," one whispered. No prey attacks a predator head-on, but the humans were not prey. Within minutes, the first beast had grown frustrated. Jensen had led it in circles, taunting it, striking at its weak spots. The second beast roared as Elias and Mara drove their weapons deeper, striking at joints and soft flesh. Finally, with one last coordinated strike, the humans brought the monster crashing down. The arena fell silent. Then, before anyone could process what they had just seen, Elias turned toward Jensen's beast. Together, all three humans charged. One leaped onto its back. Another stabbed its eye. The third jammed metal into its throat. In moments, the second predator also collapsed. Two beasts, both defeated. By three fragile-looking creatures. The crew sat frozen, their disbelief heavy in the air. The commander stood slowly. His eyes were fixed on the humans below. Impressive, he admitted. But endurance is more than fighting. Let us see how long you last. The arena shifted again. The floor became a desert of burning sand. The heat rose quickly, scorching the air. The beasts were gone, but now survival itself was the enemy. Hours passed. The crew expected the humans to collapse from exhaustion or thirst. Instead, the humans adapted. They tore parts of their suits using cloth to cover their heads. They found the vents where heat was strongest and used the rising air to locate cooler zones. They rationed their water with discipline, sharing every drop equally. By the 6th hour, one officer shook his head. No species lasts this long in the desert trial, not even us. By the 10th hour, another muttered, "It is not possible." But the humans did not stop. They moved slower, weaker, but their eyes stayed sharp. Each step carried the same stubborn determination. Finally, after 12 hours, the commander ended the trial. The arena cooled and the floor returned to metal. The humans stood together, weary but unbroken. Elias looked up at the commander, his voice rough but steady. Was that enough? The alien warlord stared down at him. For the first time in his long life, he felt something he rarely knew: respect. That night, as the humans rested, the alien crew gathered again. "They are reckless," one said. "They are mad," another added. But then, finally, a whisper came. "They are Deathworlders." The commander said nothing. His gaze lingered on the humans' quarters, his mind heavy with new thoughts. If 3 humans could do this, what would an army of them be like? What would an entire world of them bring? The galaxy had always feared the Deathworlders, but now there was a new kind of fear. Because humans did not just survive, they refused to stop. The Gravik drifted silently through space. Inside, the crew spoke in hushed voices, passing rumors like wildfire. The humans had faced the beasts of the arena. They had endured the desert. They had walked out alive when no other species could dot. At first, the crew argued. Some still called them liars. Others claimed the trial had been unfair or staged. But as the hours turned into days, one truth settled in. The humans had proven themselves, and word began to spread. The galaxy was not small. Thousands of species stretched across the stars, connected by fragile alliances and endless rivalries. Communication networks carried news faster than light. And soon whispers of the humans reached far beyond the Gravik in the crystalline halls. Of the Aran Dominion, a council of winged diplomats listened to the report. The Aran were frail but cunning, known for bending others to their will through trade and politics. A new predator species, one said, his feathers trembling. One that claims Deathworld status. Another narrowed her eyes. If it is true, they are dangerous, too dangerous. We must convince the Council to ban them from expansion before they spread. On the war-forged fortress of the Karnak Empire, the news was met with laughter. The Karnak were built for battle-massive armored creatures who thrived on conquest. Another predator? Their general roared, slamming a claw against the table. Good, let them come. If they are strong, they will be worthy foes. If they are weak, we will crush them and take their world. But deep down, even the Karnak generals wondered if humanity might be different. The report had said 3 humans defeated two war beasts. 3 could do that. What would 3,000 do? Meanwhile, in the vast chamber of the Galactic Council, where representatives of every great power gathered. The debate was fierce. "We must contain them," shouted one ambassador. "If they spread unchecked, they will become a plague." "They are dangerous?" "Yes," another agreed, "but danger can be useful. Perhaps we should guide them, teach them our ways, before they become uncontrollable." A third voice, quieter but sharper, cut through the chamber. "You speak as if they are prey to be tamed. But what if they are hunters already watching us?" The chamber grew restless. None had seen humans yet, but the reports were too detailed to ignore. A species from a world of storms, fire, and endless predators. A people who fought each other as fiercely as they fought the environment. Survivors who endured trials that killed even Deathworlders. Back aboard the Gravik, the commander stood alone in the observation deck, watching the stars. The door opened behind him. It was Captain Elias Ward. The human stood with his usual calm, hands behind his back. "You've sent word about us," Elias said quietly. The commander did not deny it. "The galaxy must know what you are." Elias nodded, as if he expected the answer. "Then they will fear us." The commander turned, his eyes narrowing. "And should they not? You are dangerous. You are unpredictable. Already, the Council debates what to do with your kind. Some want to ban you. Others want to destroy you before you grow." "And what do you want?" Elias asked. The alien hesitated. For once, he had no clear answer. In the humans, he saw not just danger, but something more. Something unsettling. "You frighten me," the commander admitted at last. "Not because you are stronger than us, but because you are different. You do not fight like predators. You fight like survivors, and survivors cannot be defeated." Elias gave a faint smile. "Then perhaps we are not here to conquer. Perhaps we are here to remind the galaxy what survival truly means." The next cycle, a message arrived from the Council. It was brief, but its meaning was clear. Humans are to appear before the Galactic Council. Their fate will be decided. The crew of the Gravik exchanged uneasy glances. To bring humans into the heart of the galaxy was a risk few were willing to take. Yet the order was final. The commander met with Elias once more. "You will go before them. They will question you. They may even decide to end you. Do you understand the danger?" Elias's eyes were steady. "We understand. We've faced worse. We'll face this too." The commander studied him in silence. In those calm eyes, he saw the same thing he had seen in the arena. The unshakable will of a species that refused to break. He realized then that the galaxy had already made a mistake. By summoning the humans before the Council, they had not contained the threat. They had given it a stage, and once the galaxy saw the humans with their own eyes, nothing would ever be the same again. The Galactic Council chamber was the largest in the known universe. It was a circular hall carved from black stone and silver metal, surrounded by towering pillars of light. Delegates from hundreds of species filled the stands, their voices buzzing like a storm. At the center stood a raised platform. On it, 3 humans waited calmly: Captain Elias Ward and his 2 crewmates. They stood small compared to the massive shapes around them. The insectoid ZZTH clicked their mandibles. The armored Karnak growled deep in their throats. The winged? Aaron shifted their feathers uneasily. All eyes were on the humans, the high speaker of the council. A tall being of glassy skin that shimmered like crystal raised her staff. The chamber fell silent. Humans of Earth, her voice rang, amplified across the hall. You have been brought before us because your existence is troubling. Reports claim you have survived trials that no other should endure. Some call you predators. Others call you allies. Today, we decide your place in this galaxy. Elias stepped forward. His voice was steady, simple, without fear. We are not here to claim power. We are not here to conquer. We are here to survive, as we always have. That frightens you? Then perhaps you should ask why. A wave of murmurs swept through the chamber. One delegate, a Karnak general in crimson armor, rose to his feet. His voice thundered. Do not be fooled by their words. These humans are dangerous. I have read the reports. They kill not only beasts, but each other. They wage war on themselves. What kind of species turns its claws on its own kind? The crowd hissed and growled in agreement. Elias did not flinch. Yes, he said, we fight each other. We always have. But from that struggle, we learned. We became stronger. We built weapons, tools, machines. We survived everything our world threw at US storms, fire, predators, war. We fight ourselves and still endure. What does that say about us? The chamber grew restless. Some aliens muttered in awe. Others growled in fear. Another delegate stood, this one from the Aran Dominion. Her feathers shivered as she spoke. You speak of survival, but survival is not enough. The galaxy is built on balance. You, humans, sound like chaos. And chaos cannot be allowed to spread. At her signal, several armed guards stepped into the chamber. Their weapons glowing, gasps filled the air. They mean to execute them here. Without trial, they are too afraid. The Karnak general snarled approval. End them now, before it is too late. The guards moved closer to the humans. The crowd leaned forward, eager, fearful, curious. But the humans did not panic. They did not even raise their hands. Instead, Elias spoke calmly to his crewmates. Mara, Jensen, you know what to do. The guards closed in. The first reached out to grab Elias, and then everything changed. With one swift motion, Mara twisted the guard's weapon out of his claws and dropped him to the floor. Jensen ducked under a strike, driving his elbow into another guard's chest. Elias caught a blade with his bare hands, twisted, and disarmed his attacker in seconds. 3 humans stood armed while the guards lay sprawled across the floor. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some shouted for more soldiers. Others cried out in shock. But the humans did not fire the stolen weapons. They simply held them, calm and steady. Elias's voice cut through the uproar. This is what you fear, isn't it? That we are too dangerous. That we cannot be controlled. You are right. We cannot be controlled. But we are not your enemy unless you make us one. The chamber fell into a stunned silence. For the first time in living memory, the Galactic Council did not know what to do. No species had ever walked into the chamber, disarmed the guards, and stood defiant before them all. Finally, the High Speaker raised her staff again, her crystalline form trembling. Enough, she commanded. No blood shall be spilled here. The humans have spoken, and they have shown their strength. But strength alone cannot decide their fate. Her voice hardened. The council will debate. Until then, the humans remain under observation. They are not free to leave. That night, in the quarters assigned to them, the humans spoke quietly. They wanted to kill us, Mara said bitterly. They were afraid, Jensen replied. Fear makes people do stupid things. Elias stood at the window, staring out at the sea of alien stars. Fear is only the beginning. They will not stop fearing us. Some will want to ally with us. Some will want to use us. Others will want us gone. He turned to face his crewmates. His voice was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. We cannot hide what we are. The galaxy has seen us now, and whether they want it or not, humanity is here to stay. In the council chamber, long after the humans had left, the debates raged on. They are a threat. They are an opportunity. They will destroy us. They may save us. But beneath the shouting, one truth settled into every heart. The humans were not prey. They were something new. And no one, not even the greatest powers in the galaxy, knew how to stop them. The Galactic Council chamber was restless. The debate over humanity had stretched into days, then weeks. Every delegate had their opinion. Some demanded the extermination of humans before they could spread. Others wanted to study them to unlock their secrets. A few argued for cautious friendship. The humans waited patiently, confined to their quarters, watched day and night by armed guards. To most species, such confinement would have been humiliating. But the humans endured it with quiet calm, as though patience itself was another weapon in their arsenal. Captain Elias Ward knew the council would never reach an easy decision. But he also knew something else. The galaxy had never stopped testing humanity. And it wasn't about to now. The test came suddenly. On the third cycle of deliberations, alarms screamed across the council station. Red lights flashed through the massive halls, and the floor trembled under distant impacts. Delegates scattered in confusion. The commander of the Gravik, who had been stationed as a guard during the meetings, burst into the humans' quarters. His scales gleamed with sweat. The station is under attack, he growled. By who? Elias demanded. Raiders, pirates, perhaps worse. They came through the outer gates with cloaked ships. Already dozens of sections are burning. Security forces cannot contain them. The commander's eyes narrowed. Stay here. If they find you, they will kill you first. You are too valuable. But Elias was already strapping on the gear he had brought from his ship. Mara and Jensen armed themselves with compact weapons, relics of Earth's long wars. Elias looked at the commander, his voice firm. Then we don't stay here. We fight. The corridors of the council station burned with chaos. Explosions tore through walls. Fires spread. Aliens screamed in panic as raiders stormed the halls, armored and merciless. The humans moved quickly, with a precision that shocked even the commander who followed them. Where most species fled in panic, the humans advanced with discipline. Mara dragged a wounded alien diplomat to cover. Jensen hotwired a sealed door, creating a shortcut for fleeing civilians. Elias led the way, striking down raiders with brutal efficiency. The commander snarled as he tore through enemies with his claws, but his eyes kept returning to the humans. They didn't just fight, they protected. While the commander focused on killing enemies, the humans focused on saving lives. They pulled the weak out of danger, guided the lost, and gave courage to those who wanted to give up. The commander had always believed strength was measured by how many enemies one could crush. But here, in the burning halls of the council station, he saw something different. Strength measured by how many lives could be saved. Hours later, the battle reached the council chamber itself. The raiders burst in, weapons blazing, ready to take hostages. But they didn't expect resistance. They didn't expect 3 humans. Elias and his team held the line, using cover, traps, and sheer willpower. They fought with a kind of determination that made every alien in the chamber stare in disbelief. When a raider fired at a delegate, Mara threw herself in front of him, taking the blast across her armor. She gritted her teeth, stood up again, and kept fighting. When the chamber's shield controls jammed, Jensen crawled through fire and smoke to repair them, coughing, half-blind, refusing to stop. When the raiders tried to overwhelm the chamber, Doors Elias barked orders, rallying frightened guards into a defense that held long enough for reinforcements to arrive by the time the last raider fell. The chamber was silent except for the sound of smoke and heavy breathing. The humans stood, bloodied but unbroken. Around them, dozens of alien delegates were alive because of them. The High Speaker herself, her crystal body cracked but intact, looked down at the humans. For the first time since the debates began, her voice was soft. You saved us. Even those who called for your destruction. You saved without hesitation. Why? Elias lowered his weapon. His voice was quiet, but every word carried through the chamber. Because that is what we do. On Earth, we learned early that survival is never just about ourselves. Alone, we are. Fragile, together, we are unstoppable. We fight for each other, even for those who would call us enemies. That is humanity's way. The chamber was silent. Many delegates lowered their heads, ashamed. Others stared in awe, and slowly, the whispers began. They are more than predators. They are protectors. Perhaps we need them. Later, in the aftermath, the commander stood beside Elias in the quiet of the observation deck. You should have let them die, the commander muttered. The ones who wanted you destroyed, yet you saved them. Elias looked at him, weary, but calm. On Earth, we don't always get to choose who deserves saving. We just do it. Because tomorrow, it might be us who need saving. The commander studied him for a long moment, then gave a slow nod. For the first time in his life, he felt something unfamiliar toward another species. Not just respect, not just fear. Something closer to trust. The galaxy had seen humanity's strength in the arena. Now it had seen humanity's heart in the fire, and nothing would ever be the same again. The Galactic Council chamber had changed. Only a cycle ago, the humans stood here as prisoners, accused of being too dangerous to exist. Now they stood as saviors. Their weapons lowered, their bodies bruised, yet their eyes unbroken. The delegates filled the seats once more, but the atmosphere was no longer filled with anger or suspicion. Instead, it was heavy with something else, uncertainty and respect. The High Speaker, her crystal form still scarred from the battle, raised her staff. This council has witnessed the truth of humanity. You are dangerous, yes, but not for the reasons we feared. You are dangerous because you endure, because you protect, because you refuse to fall, even when everything tells you to break. Her voice echoed through the chamber. The question now is not what to do with you. The question is what will happen if we do not stand with you. A Karnak general slammed his claws on the table. Stand with them? They are predators. What if they turn against us? Elias stepped forward. His voice was calm but strong. If we wish to conquer, you would know it already. But we didn't come here to rule. We came here because we wanted to see what was beyond our world, and what we have seen is a galaxy afraid of its own shadows. He let the silence hang before continuing. You call yourselves Deathworlders. You believe yourselves unbreakable. But you fear change. You fear risk. Humanity does not. That is why we survive. That is why we will keep surviving whether you choose to stand with us or against us. The chamber fell into whispers. For many, it was the first time they realized that humanity could not be controlled, only understood, opposed. Then the alarm sounded again. A delegate rushed in, panic in his voice. An unknown fleet has entered the outer system. Not raiders, this time something worse. Something we have never seen before. The chamber filled with fear. The images came quickly on the screens. Black ships, jagged and alive, tearing through the void. Weapons of organic matter, creatures fused with machines. They consumed everything they touched. The commander of the Gravik growled, his scales rattling. Not raiders, not pirates. Something beyond. Something that devours. Delegates shouted in panic. We cannot fight that. Our fleets are scattered. We will be overrun. The High Speaker turned to Elias, her voice trembling. What should we do? The chamber froze. The question had not been directed at the generals, nor the admirals, nor the great empires. It had been asked of a human. Elias glanced at Mara and Jensen, then back at the speaker. His answer was steady. You do what humans have always done when the odds are against them. You stand together. You stop fighting over who is the strongest. You adapt. You endure. And then, you fight like your survival depends on it, because it does. The chamber was silent. The words struck deeper than any weapon. For centuries, the council had been divided by power, fear, and mistrust. Yet in this moment, they realized what humanity had carried all along. Not just strength, but unity born from struggle. Later, aboard the Gravik, the commander spoke to Elias as fleets prepared for battle. You have changed them, the alien admitted. I did not believe it was possible. But now, for the first time, the council fights with one voice. Because of you. Elias shook his head. Not because of me, because survival leaves no choice. They just needed to be reminded. The commander studied him for a long moment, then gave a rare smile, sharp but genuine. Perhaps you are not just Deathworlders. Perhaps you are something more. Something the galaxy has never seen before. As the human ship, Dauntless, launched with the combined fleets, Elias stood at the viewport. Ahead, the enemy waited an endless tide of darkness, a threat that could consume worlds. Behind him, for the first time in history, Deathworlders and peaceful species stood side by side. United Jensen adjusted the ship's systems and gave a low laugh. Think they'll ever stop being afraid of us? Elias smiled faintly. Probably not. But maybe one day they'll understand. We're not here to be their monsters. We're here to be their reminder that survival is never easy. It has to be fought for. Mara tightened her harness, her eyes on the stars. Pretend if they don't understand. Elias's voice hardened, but his eyes shone with quiet fire. Then they'll learn the same way every predator on Earth did, the hard way. The fleet surged forward into the dark. The galaxy watched, holding its breath. For the first time, it was not just humans who carried the spirit of survival. It was everyone, and from that day on, no one would ever again doubt the truth. The galaxy had called itself home to Deathworlders, but humans had shown them what that word truly meant.